Today our guest is the chairman of the Institute for Reporters Freedom and Safety, Emin Huseynov. Welcome to our studio. Thank you. Today we will discuss the pressures on journalists. As you know, the New York-based Journalist Protection Fund has unveiled its annual report for 2010. It also includes serious criticism of Azerbaijan in this regard. What can you say about the pressure on journalists within the past period? Last year, we revealed the multiple pressures on journalists, particularly before and during the parliamentary elections of 2010. By until the end of year we observed pressures on journalists, and the biggest pressure was inflicted on the journalists, imprisoned journalist Enullah Fethullah. His court proceedings, the trial was like a show, like for journalists. They wanted to demonstrate to journalists what the reality is. The government want to say, like, despite the European Court of Human Rights decision, we can judge the journalists who oppose us and criticize us, can keep them in prison. I think the biggest pressure was this, as this man, this journalist, is still held in prison today. Though there is a European Court of Human Rights decision on immediate release of Fethullah, and though they doubt the trumped up narcotics charge, this man is held in prison. Yes, the Azerbaijani part of the report also includes information about Enullah Fethullah. It speaks about the drugs planted on Enullah Fethullah's earrings at the end of 2009. Last year, according to Enullah Fethullah's father, there were about 40 hearings on Fethullah. Has any of these hearings ended in favor of Fethullah? You know, none of the substantiated motions was fulfilled. Though the judge allowed to take photos and videos in the hearing, it was a setup. You know, the judicial system wanted to show that as if the hearings are open and transparent. But later, all the judges were instructed not to allow any journalist to enter the courtroom with a voice or video recording device. And the biggest violation was the fact that the Supreme Court of Azerbaijan committed a very huge falsification, fraud, and we also, journalists, lawyers, right defenders, attended the hearing. The decision made by the Supreme Court absolutely contradicted the legislation, and a week later even that decision was amended and it was replaced with another decision, and the world community saw this, and this again proved that Azerbaijan lacks independent judiciary system. Besides, the report notes that Enullah Fethullah, the main reason for Fethullah's arrest is his knowledge of the persons behind the murder of Monitor magazine editor-in-chief Emin Huseynov's murder. And last year he issued a famous statement about this issue. What can you say about this statement? You know, the fact that Emin Huseynov's murder has not been unveiled yet is in itself a pressure on journalists, because the other journalists see that this murder is not investigated by anyone, any government agency, and those who are investigated are punished exactly like Enullah. They fair. Of course, Enullah's statements were issued in different media outlets. We also published Enullah Fethullah's statement and also translated and disseminated this statement for international community. See that the government is not interested in unveiling this murder. I think they know who are the authors, who are behind this murder, because they know who is behind this murder, and therefore we don't see any professional investigation of the issue of the murder of the famous journalist. The National Security Ministry, which investigates the murder, doesn't publicize any information about the murder. You know, we also appeal to the government to erect a monument for Emin Huseynov, but we have not received any response yet, and we are going to again appeal. At the same time, the Azerbaijan government's agencies say that Emin Huseynov murderers are in Georgia. Is it so difficult to demand Georgian government to handle over the murderers? I think there's such a close cooperation between Azerbaijan and Georgia that Azerbaijan government claim that there is no agreement for handling the murderers is, meaningless. When it comes to sale of oil and gas, there is an agreement within a day. And I'm sure that if Azerbaijan government wanted to get the criminals, the Georgian political leadership would grant their request in a single day. Moreover, last year, Georgian minister said during his visit to Azerbaijan that they has not received any appeal, any request in this regard so far. And last year was also marked for the developments around the bloggers, youth bloggers. Today, youth blogger Jabbar Savarani is also in prison. What is the situation? What can you say about it? Actually, Emin Milli and Adnan Hadzadeh has not been released yet. They are in house arrest. Their detention in prison was replaced with house arrest. These persons need treatment abroad, but they cannot leave their country. On the other side, the setup against Jabbar Savarani again proved that Azerbaijan is against the youth bloggers who push criticism on internet. Upon the recent developments in Egypt, Tunis, and the threat of revolutions made the Azerbaijani government and other authoritarian regimes fear. Many authoritarian regimes are launched campaigns against the social networks, including Facebook. Azerbaijani government also joined this campaign. 2 days ago, Nterview channel broadcast a material which spoke about the threat of Facebook, Twitter, and other social networks against Azerbaijan. They want to convince the society that it's not suitable. On one side, I think this move by Nterview channel is not appropriate. If someone didn't know what is Facebook, they became aware of Facebook, and it is positive. But on the other side, it's not understandable why ANS, a mass media outlet, broadcasts ambiguous information. Why didn't they seek opinions of other mass media outlets? Of course, it aims at discrediting social network. I want to comment on your opinions regarding the ANS TV channel. On the eve of parliamentary elections, NSTV broadcast programs that partially reflected the reality, and that's why it faced criticism and why it was closed once. And after US intervened with the incident, with the process, the government was obliged to reopen this channel. Self-censorship also surfaces itself in other agencies, especially after first arrest of Middle Circuit journalists with a drugs charge, and then following relevant arrests, made the journalists fair. But the people forget such incidents very easily and in a very short time. But if Azerbaijan government chose this fight with the youth, I think it is not right, because it is not possible to plant narcotics on all the youth bloggers or activists. Facebook is one of the sites that received the biggest clicks house in Azerbaijan. The Alexa.com website lists Facebook in the first list. And as to the methodology, it seems as if it has not been changed. Ganimez Zahid, as a league editor-in-chief, was charged with hooliganism, then Mirza Sakit with a drugs charge, then youth bloggers again hooliganism, and Jabbar Savlanlı with drugs charge. The exception is only the Agil Khaos case. It seems it will be the next charge. What do you think about it? You know, we witnessed a similar campaign against Azur Ahmedov as the local newspaper's financial director. There was a private interference with his private life. I cannot assess his actions, but it was a secret recording and devices were installed in advance. He was also followed. It is difficult to say which intelligence service carried out this, but it was a very professional recording. The people seemingly voiced it, and it seems it was used against the opposition on the eve of elections. There was an interesting fact there. In a video clip you see that in internet you saw that it was placed on the Facebook by a foreign citizen, a citizen of Iran. It's clear you see that citizens from foreign countries interfere with the private life of the citizens of Azerbaijan, and on the other side government speaks that the security is ensured in Azerbaijan. How can we speak about the security ensuring if any citizen of a foreign country comes and interferes with private life of Azerbaijan citizens? You know, for example, the body service, customs service, the most corrupt agencies. For example, a terrorist, Ferda Keturov, came from Georgia with guns and murdered students in Azerbaijan, and it is not clear who was dismissed, who was punished, whereas the leadership of these agencies should have been punished because the gun was obtained in Georgia and passed through customs and border service. And what our customs officers are dealing with? You know, instead of investigating the narcotics, they fight for money. For example, a person buys a personal thing for himself, they are required to pay huge funds. They don't even use special device for viewing the bags, luggages. According to in Azerbaijan has special devices that can view the luggages and bags of the passengers, but only 5 to 10% of these devices are used, and they are used a little bit about the drug trafficking. Now, in this regard, National Security Ministry fulfilled a partially remarkable measures against drug trafficking with use of these devices. But the other cases where the journalists are labeled, the National Security Ministry, which deals with investigation of, for example, drugs cases, is used against the journalists. Also, this ministry is claimed to be involved in Marciano's murder. In many countries, the prosecutor's offices investigate these claims and then publicize information to the community if any officer is indeed involved in this crime or not. The situation of press freedom is very poor in Azerbaijan. Thank you for coming to our studio. Today our guest was the Institute for Reporters Freedom and Safety Chairman Emin Huseynov.